Yeah. All right. Let's jump in. Good night. Welcome to Mindful Live. What are your thoughts on the Answer McCall issue? Everyone panicking apparently. Welcome to Mindful Live 554. I believe we are on 554. Yeah, we are well on the way there. Many lives have already passed. Once you're on the inside, make sure you hit that like button. Double tap the screen over there on TikTok. That's how you hit the like button out there. And hit that like button if you are viewing this on YouTube. Also make sure you are subscribed so you can catch all of the lives as they come through. What's up, host? Tell the people good night.
Good night.
Good night, people. Good night to the people. Good night, Zero Effect. The Answer McCall issue, we are talking about the Answer McCall issue was that yesterday, and it's scary. To me, it's a negative signal to the country. Do you listen Trini rambles? Yes. Not religiously, like I listen every single video he does, but when I come across his content, I do listen. Yeah. But yeah, the Answer McCall issue, it is significant. It tells something negative about the landscape of our economic situation, about the business marketplace, as it were. That's not a good sign. That the associations are crumbling, they are not holding together. That happens when things start to look desperate. And maybe that's the case. I think that's a very negative sign indeed. It's a very negative sign. And the fact that it seems our government is unbothered by all of these goings on is even a more negative sign. Yeah, it's not a good thing, the Answer McCall issue. We have many issues. We have lots of news to talk about. In the news, we have the predicament that Stink and Dirty seems to find themselves in. Homelander is saying to ban them from Shagaramas, but we also know that it's they were banned from Brian Lara Stadium. So if they're banned from Carnage, they're banned from the was it Brian Lara Stadium? Yes, the Cricket Academy. If they're banned from all of those locations, then what are you saying? They are banned altogether? The event is just too big and successful to be held? Is that the case? Abdullah says, I think the raise in gas was a direct attack on Answer McCall and didn't know it. I kinda get that suspicion too, yeah.
I want to go down.
Okay. Tell the people bye, ladies, folks.
Bye, ladies, folks.
Yeah, I kind of have that feeling too, because we know that this administration regularly likes to speak about the 1%, and for those of us that are a little past room temperature IQ, you could figure out that when they say 1%, there's a racial undertone there, because Mrs. Prasad Bisasa herself and most of her co-workers in cabinet are part of the 1% also. They're all part of the 1%. So, I mean, they aren't literally talking about the 1% in terms of monetary. There's another meaning inside of there. So regularly when they speak about the 1% and the elites and those that maintain the status quo and the favorites and the financiers, etc., lots of whistles for certain dogs to hear that are really suggestions of more ethnic sense. And if you're being honest, you could tell that. So if it is Because as I said last night when we went through that, the light industry and commercial gas use from NGC is less than 1% of their gas sales. So this move obviously was not about retaining profitability. It's asinine to think that you're attempting to get a 77% increase on less than 1% of your sales, and that's your solution for profitability. That's rubbish. That's not true. Now, I don't know what it's really about, but what I can say is it makes no sense to believe that it's really, honestly, only about profitability. And in that case, you could understand why Answer McCall might be worried or bothered. And their statement to the TTMA was a suggestion. It seemed like they thought the TTMA didn't fight the case hard enough on their behalf. Is it that they're accusing the TTMA of bending to the wills of the current administration and not speaking up as much as they should because they are favoring the current administration? Is that the suggestion that Answer McCall is giving? Because it could feel like that is the suggestion that they're giving, that the TTMA did not want to be as disagreeable as they should have with the present administration. I don't know. That could seem like the suggestion, because as I was looking at that whole incident, the way it played off, NGC said that it was not negotiable. Now, the truth is, everything is negotiable to some extent. So maybe Answer McCall was hoping for some levers to be pulled to show how serious they were. And they were suggesting that TTMA didn't discuss with them when they were having the negotiations with NGC. So maybe if there were discussions among all of the manufacturers, they could have put forward a united front and possibly gotten NGC to turn down what they did. Who knows? And Answer McCall is suggesting they don't like how it all went down. But yes, that's also in the news. As I was saying before, the stink and dirty. I am not a FETE. I am not a promoter of Carnival and what Carnival comes with. But if you're looking at this from the business point of view, this seems like you're punishing the promoters of stink and dirty for being too successful. The criticism of the stink and dirty FETE is not that they were breaking laws inside of the FETE. It's that too many people went to the FETE and they didn't know how to handle it. What? What do you mean a country that is partially based on a tourism economy that has a party side to it, because we are supposedly the Mecca of Carnival, and the FETE, which is the landmarks of Carnival, the Carnival season, a FETE gets too successful for the Mecca of Carnival to hold. You understand what the Mecca is? If Abdullah is in there, I mean no offense, but imagine if they went to Mecca and they say, nah, it's too many Muslims. Like, imagine you go to Mecca to make a pilgrimage and they say, nah boy, spin wrong next 2 years or so, it's too many Muslims, boy. Like, that doesn't seem to make sense. You're punishing the people for being too successful. That seems like a problem of facilitation, not a problem that requires banning. There's a real suspicious story of a police officer being shot in Tunapuna. A police officer being shot in Tunapuna. I like to read that story because it's a very suspicious sounding story. Very suspicious. The IRO has jumped out in agreement with the Archbishop against the placement of the rose inside of the bag for tribe, while a gender expert, a PhD gender studies expert, says her piece on it. You won't want to miss that. The nurses want their money right now. The nurses want their money right now. We see OpenAI is looking to throw in ads inside of their business. And in some regional news, Haiti's transition continues, backed by the United States. Interesting. And Miss Motley, Chemdog, remember me? I remember the name Chemdog from the live. I don't know if you're talking about from somewhere else than that. Miss Motley over in Barbados said that, she was planning to retire, but when she saw the nature of the news, what was happening in Venezuela, our zone of peace being targeted, that she said she had to jump back in the ring. I feel if that's your view, you'll never leave politics, eh? There would always be something pressing and urgent to do. So you'll never really leave politics and power. There are allegations that Jamaica blanked Cuba, oil or gas. Jamaica is defending themselves because, the United States continues putting the squeeze on Cuba, attempting to suffocate them into subjection, bring them to the bargaining table. Leaders just like power. That's the truth. A retirement age is needed for politicians. I kind of understand the sentiment of wanting a retirement age for politicians, but at the same time, I kind of disagree with it. Let's jump in over on Facebook one time. Yeah. Good night, Facebook. Good night, Facebook. As I was saying, a retirement age is needed for politicians. So while I understand the sentiment, remember, politicians are chosen by the people. If I find the best person to lead my country is an 80-year-old man, isn't it counter-democratic, counter to the democratic principle, to forbid me from choosing who I believe is the best leader for my country? If I believe an 80-year-old is the best leader for my country, why shouldn't I be able to choose that 80-year-old? That's the democratic principle. Why should anyone be able to dictate who I can or cannot choose to lead me? And what an age requirement and forced retirement may actually do is oftentimes there are fewer good politicians than there are bad politicians. So you might end up forcing good politicians to retire while just continually bringing in new crops of horrible politicians. They might die on the job, naturally. That's true. That's very true. But if that's my choice, if my choice is I want a guy who might or might not die on the job, my choice. Even with term limits, I want a guy that it might be he might die on the job, but I feel this old man has the wisdom needed to run my country. I shouldn't be able to choose Gramps. Isn't that ageism to some extent? Why should I not be able to choose him? I saw somebody in Parliament wearing adult Pampers, Abdullah says. Listen, Abdullah. Abdullah, you're looking for bacchanal. I don't know if anybody in Parliament wears adult Pampers. I don't know. That may be true. I'm just saying I don't know. Hey. Naya says Donald Duck. Who is Donald Duck? Are you talking Trinidad politics or are you talking foreign? But what about have a bigger pool to choose from? But you know, you would have a bigger pool to choose from if you don't force people to retire. The young people could still put their hats in the ring. No one is saying they cannot. They can still. But you could choose who you want. It doesn't shrink the pool. Naya, you're saying Trump in relation to what? I think Trump seems to be one of the sharpest old people there are out there. And it's kind of strange to me that the same people that looked at Biden dribble and fumble over himself for 4 years would look at Trump, who is obviously a sharp, miserable old man, and say, oh no, look at that man, he seems to be falling apart. That guy stands and talks for hours still. Like, you may think he's a miserable old man. I think that's who you could put him more as. That miserable old uncle who you don't like what he says. But I don't think his brain is failing at all. At all. Not even in the slightest. And it's just beyond ironic to me that that's the criticism people go with on him after watching Biden for 4 years. Like, come now, man. Can you show yourself to be more partisanly foolish? Early tonight, someone saying Trump has himself done something else feeling. All right. I don't know anything about that. I am not his convalescent doctor. I don't know if he did do that. And I won't know how you would know that either, to be very honest. Like come on. Why would that rumor even be believed? You know that he's a well-hated person. Why would you believe a random rumor like that? That seems a very convenient thing for someone to say. I think Mrs. Prasad Bissessa isn't at the top performance in terms of age-wise, but I am not automatically going to assume belief of some rumor about some kind of incontinence on her part. I wouldn't do that. That's not sensible, especially if it comes from people I know who hate her. But yeah, let's see if we could jump into some of these articles. We'll start with the Carnival. The Bacchanal in the Carnival. But I mean, if Carnival is Bacchanal, Bacchanal should be expected with the Carnival. I look into open up my party and hold screenings. Nathan will be PM. Abdullah, I afraid your party. I knew it was going in that direction. I in charge of the military. I knew that was the direction it was going in. That sounds like I will have to flee the country. That sounds like you and I may have a falling out at some point in time, and it will result with me and my family in exile. Real swift. The Prime Minister and his family have been flown out of the country and are currently in exile in an unknown location. Abdullah is now leading a transitionary government. He would be in charge of the all the military leaders are in charge of transition governments. They'll be transitioning for the next 3 decades. Hey, stink and dirty. That's in the news. Ban stink and dirty from Shagaramas. Ban stink and dirty from Shag. Minister of Homeland Security Roger Alexander says that based on police advice, he will recommend that the stink and dirty FETE be banned from Shagaramas. The FETE attracted more than 17,000 patrons to the heliport in Chaguaramas on Saturday, resulting later in gridlock traffic throughout the day along the peninsula. The minister said he spoke to both the police commissioner and the ACP for the Northwest Division and was advised that no event of that magnitude can be held there again. And that's a problem to me. That's a problem to me. Because the Prime Minister banned Stink and Dirty from the Brian Lara Stadium. For the past 3 years, the Stink and Dirty FETE has been held at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Taruba. The promoters had to host the event at the Chaguaramas heliport this year after Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar instructed that FETs be banned at national stadia in an effort to address noise pollution and the high cost to taxpayers to maintain these venues. Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander said yesterday he stood by the Prime Minister's decision, noting that when the FETE was held at the stadium, it was plagued with issues. He said given the volume of people attending the event, he believes that no matter the venue, there will be traffic challenges. So, what you are saying is they have too many people attending to hold it in the middle of the country at Brian Lara Cricket Academy. No habla español, Edelmiria. Too many people to hold it in the middle of the country. Too many people to hold it on the edge of the country. So where can they hold it? Where can it be hosted? Or is it that what the authorities are saying basically is these promoters have promoted themselves out of a business? They have become so successful at throwing their FETE that now the FETE is too successful for our country. And doesn't that sound kinda insane in a country that advertises itself as the home of carnival and the homeland for the FETE? If it's African necklace, no. Actually, this is a boar tusk from Australia. Best they go Miami. And well, isn't that the suggestion? Isn't that the suggestion? Are you telling people now that what they need to do is leave Trinidad if they have too much success? The level of success you're looking for, Trinidad doesn't do that. We don't do that kind of success here, you know. We're a little too low level for that. That level of success you want to get into, find somewhere else for that. Like, really? Is that what we're saying? Are we saying that it's impossible in the country that advertises itself for such to be able to handle an event as such? Like, as I said, I never went Stink and Dirty. If Stink and Dirty really get banned, it's not going to affect my life one way or the other. But you have to look at the principle that runs through something. Are you saying now that large FETs are not feasible in this country and thus they wouldn't be allowed? I don't know. That seems kind of strange to me. It seems kind of strange to me. That seems like a problem needed on the planning side. Needed to be solved on the planning side. The promoters of Stink and Dirty can't build new roads. They can't change traffic laws. They can't create good party zones. That's not their job. Imagine that. I find that very strange, personally. I find that very strange. And I know these people that are speaking against it, these people that are speaking to ban Stink and Dirty, it's not like they are against partying and they are against FETs. they would gladly go to their FETE of choice. So it's not like it's some kind of moral injunction they have against it. If it was that, well, we could discuss that. That's another topic. But you're just saying it's too big to be held. That's, I don't think that's good enough. I really don't. We're talking about police though. There's this very, very interesting article. Now, granted, all the information doesn't appear as soon as these things happen. Abdullah says, I'll be devil's advocate. What ethnicities are the promoters? Abdullah, what you're trying to do? Stink and Dirty is who? Who throws Stink and Dirty? Which promotion team? Is it Caesars? Stink and Dirty is Caesars? Whatever. I don't know, to be honest. If it's Caesars, well, I know what ethnicity that might be. But sir, I don't know. I am talking about a very, very interesting article coming out from Tunapuna about a police being shot. Cop shot during police operation in Tunapuna. A police officer and a pedestrian were injured during a shooting incident in Tunapuna on Monday evening. Around 7:45 p.m., officers attached to the North Central Division were on patrol along Main Gut and Fairley Streets when they responded to a report of an assault. After making inquiries at the home of the alleged assault, the officers returned to their vehicle, which was parked across Fairley Street. It was then that two armed men emerged from a nearby yard and opened fire. Police Constable P.C. Phillip, who was armed and in the line of duty, sustained injuries to his right leg and back. A 25-year-old pedestrian walking along the road was also struck in his right shoulder. Both victims were taken to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex and are reported to be in stable condition. P.C. Phillip and his colleagues returned fire in self-defense, but the two assailants managed to escape. A search of the area conducted by officers, including members of the Municipal Police, the North Central Division Task Force, and the Interagency Task Force, yielded ammunition at the scene, including live and spent rounds of 9mm and 5.56 ammunition. What is this? Two police are called to a report at a specific location. The report yields no lead. You get nothing from this. As you're walking back to your vehicle, two men appear out of the bushes. I'm going with the official story here. I don't know, I wasn't there. Two men appear out of the bushes. From the ammunition recovered, it is the typical hitman team of the Trinidad gangs. A nines man and a rifleman, because they recovered 9mm and 5.56 ammunition. One rifleman, one pistol man. And from all accounts, they were aiming at the officers. Was it just any random group of officers that responded to that report that they would have shot? Were they just aiming at police in general? Is it something personal they had with that specific officer and they were aiming to catch him? How would they have known that it would have been him? What is this? Or are the police lying? Because we know that Trinidad police does lie. To say plainly, we police does lie. So, is it that the police are lying? But then, why would they lie? To what end? What are they attempting to hide? Did they go there and were they the ones that initiated the firefight? They started shooting at some guys, and in order to excuse it and explain why they got shot instead of shooting the guys, they say, well, actually the guys ambushed us and shot us. Because as it stands, this is a very scary story. If Trinidad gangsters are calling police for reports and ambushing them, that is extremely scary news. That's not news to be taken lightly. Because we have some news coming out of Haiti today also. Their presidential handover team, or whatever they call it, they have expired, and they still have the prime minister that they have appointed there, which, I mean, technically that's not a prime minister, that's a dictator by another name, really and truly, because nobody voted for the leader right now in Haiti. But a major problem that Haiti is facing is this kind of thing. The gangs aren't afraid of the police. So it's all gang warfare, really and truly. The police is just another gang that the gangs face. I have said this before. If our police service continues down the line of corruption and insulting people while they do that corruption, they are functioning just simply as a gang. Why would the gangs be afraid when police on the payroll? Because police do kill gangsters. Police on the payroll kill men who are paying them to, allegedly. I wasn't there for anything as such, but allegations are as such. And at least as it stands, or as it stood for a while, even with the knowledge of police corruption, by and large in Trinidad, the police had or have dominance over the gangs when facing each other. It's not common that you hear gangs oppose police officers in a front-on fight. That's not a common thing in Trinidad and Tobago. Is it going to become? I don't want it. I'm letting you know. This isn't wishful thinking. I really don't want it. Tunapuna is controlled by one gang, the most violent gang in the country. Was that the gang that was running the place red about 2 years ago? And then they calmed down a little bit as their allegations were that their leader was in prison and all of that business. Those guys, resistance, was it? Those guys seemed very trigger happy. And I mean, if I'm remembering locations correctly, wasn't it around Main Gut in Tunapuna that Dust Boss resided and was killed by police after posting a live saying he was unarmed? Was it exact Main Gut Street? No. Was it? I really can't remember. I know it was Tunapuna. So I mean, there are issues in Tunapuna, even involving the police. Am I speaking of something that nobody else remembers? Anybody remembers Dust Boss? Remember the man they call Dust Boss? Anybody remembers the live that he posted screaming, and then we hear that he was shot? The person on the live was not him, right? The next guy. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know. But that was Tunapuna. That I do know. And chickens have a way of coming home to roost. So I hope that the country is not headed in this direction. Monty Gran, right? I hope that the country is not headed in this direction. But if it is, this is some scary stuff. And I don't know what this story is attempting to say. I really don't. We'll see as it unfolds. Keep your ears and eyes open in Tunapuna. See where it all goes. See the kind of action the police are getting in. Human greed is the problem. That's a fact. That's a fact. Yo, Jason X. You know, let's jump back into some of the carnival news. We're back into the rose in the bag issue. Why tribe giving what they're giving to their ladies? Why is the minister against body cameras and giving PCA more authority? Because the minister was a former bad boy police, allegedly. So, is that any surprise? Is that really any surprise from the said minister? He doesn't seem like the kind that believes in accountability for police officers. He never seemed like the kind that believed in accountability for police officers. So, what else do we expect? IRO mass veteran object as gender experts defend tribe's decision. Hey, Ronnie, you here still? I know this is your story. And the gender expert in this story spoke just like you were speaking last night. The gender expert channeled you in this story. Tribe Carnival's inclusion of an adult toy for women in costume packages has sparked warnings against the cheapening of mass and women's bodies. At the same time, gender equality defenders have called on religious and public opinion to leave feminine sexuality alone. Head of the interreligious organization, Dr. Ellis Burris, and children's mass band pioneer Rosalind Gabriel yesterday voiced strong disagreement with the inclusion of the adult pleasure device in tribe's costume package and cited the possible erosion of moral values among younger masqueraders. Well, Abdullah, that's what the gender expert said. The gender expert, we'll see what she said, but as a snippet, she basically said, you know, this is how women are liberated and given freedom. This is freedom and liberation. Don't you know that, Abdullah? Come on now. Burris in a phone interview said, we are not supporting that. And questioned the need for such an item in tribe's carnival package. And you know, it's unnecessary even in what tribe is doing. Tribe is a carnival band for the road. They're supposed to supply you with all-inclusive for what you need on the road. Why would they give you something that cannot be used legally on the road? Which Caribbean island is the best to migrate to right now in terms of economic development? Caribbean island or Caribbean territory? If you're talking Caribbean territory, Guyana easily. Guyana easily. If you're talking island, then Trinidad still. That's just the reality. He said the action was bad for moral values and was not a good idea. Burris said many young people play mass and tribe's message could cause an erosion in the minds of young people. Burris said someone did not need to go to university to learn that some things are not done, and tribe's decision would impose street knowledge on some impressionable young minds. Burris warned against moral decline and said he supported Archbishop Jason Gordon's statement on the issue. Mass veteran Rosalind Gabriel expressed disappointment disappointment with Tribe's actions, emphasizing that she spoke as a grandmother whose teenage granddaughters could be masqueraders. Gabriel said she has known and loved Tribe band leader Dean Akin from when he was a child. Gabriel said, however, that she totally disagreed with Akin's decision, speaking as a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. Yeah. Now, we get into the real interesting part of this article. Director and senior lecturer at the Institute for Gender and Development Studies at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, Dr. Gabriel Hossain, said women's sexuality should be left alone. You know, just at the start, what I find to be gaslighting about this, is the person is saying women's sexuality is a she. So she might be a fairy. She's saying women's sexuality should be left alone. But isn't what Tribe is doing interfering with women's sexuality? Isn't Tribe attempting to shape and mold women's sexuality by giving them something they didn't have before? If you're saying leave it alone, that means don't do anything to it, don't add to it, don't give anything, don't suggest anything, leave it alone. We spoke about this yesterday. Your should is irrelevant. They have, they will, they always will, they will increase, and yours will decrease. Hate it how much you want. If you want your atheist paradise, go to North Korea and you will have your paradise. You could worship Kim as God and forget about all other religions. You will have your atheist paradise there. Us, other people with religious and moral standings, will work with what we have. So if you're saying women's sexuality is to be left alone, then why don't you tell Tribe to leave it alone also? One question, bro. Would you carry your daughter any of these carnival costume events? No. No, 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 no. Nope, no. Nehi. 9. No. I will not. So, just at the start with this gender studies expert, they're being contrary. And you understand when they say leave women's sexuality alone, what she really means is allow us to have the sole say on women's sexuality. We get to determine what women's sexuality is, and you should shut up and listen to us as we determine it. Which, and this is the problem with lots of the people like you in the chat here, who say things like, you know, these religious people should stay out of these issues, and they're trying to get into too many people's issues and blah, 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 blah. These secular weirdos are getting into people's issues. These secular weirdos want these things to be given out everywhere on every corner. They push for toys to be given out in schools all around the world, and then they tell you that no, because you dislike what they're doing, you're the problem. And that there's the problem there. Majority of these carnival events not family friendly. It's sad. Yes, it is. And that's part of the problem the Archbishop was talking about also. He was saying that there is an artistic side to carnival, or at least there was a side to carnival that was open to the all ages, free to enjoy kind of level. And these actions are shutting that down. Hossain called for a hands-off approach when it comes to women's sexuality, noting that mass bands have for years included condoms in their packages based on a variety of assumptions. She questioned the furor over the inclusion of the Rose adult pleasure device and questioned society's attempted control of female sexuality. How dare society attempt to control female sexuality? Bear in mind, this is a toy. adding in. And because you disagree with a toy added in, you're attempting to control female sexuality. What? That's like saying, because we think people shouldn't smoke coke, we're attempting to control human health. Human healthcare choices. How dare you attempt to control human healthcare choices? People should be able to do coke if they want. Do not make it illegal. Do not frown on it. Is Carnival this over-sexualized? I mean, to be honest, it always was, eh? What does Carnival even have to do with that, though? It has been sexualized for a very long time now. And I think what they are attempting to do is milk the last amount of marketing value from sexuality. The point is that sex sells. That is the point. They know that putting it out there, that they're giving out this pleasure device, everyone now has in their mind that the women in this band are even more sexual than the women in other bands. And it's about money. You increase the sexuality because you know sexuality is a human primal urge. It's something that people can't get beyond very easily. It hacks beyond the conscious brain. So you're able to tap into something, the lizard brain, that little reptile brain beyond everything. And you're able to get people at that level. It's about the money. Why are you fighting us in pushing our religious agenda? You all do it, let us influence the culture. Why are you fighting us in pushing your religious agenda? You. Why? Why are you here fighting me on your religious agenda? What you are doing right now, you are attempting to evangelize for your faith in my chat. You are such an evangelist for your faith. This is like a Christian person. What you are is the Christian person inside of the Muslim chat trying to witness to everybody inside there. That's what you are right now. You are attempting here to push your religious agenda over everyone in this chat. It's all religion. You want your religion to succeed, your religion of sexual depravity. However, other people in the audience, we would like our religions to succeed. It's a game of influence, so let the best religious agenda win. Don't say I shouldn't. Exactly you. You're saying my point now. So then why are you attempting to get me to hush up? And I am glad you said that, so that what the chat could witness is that this individual, they know what they're attempting to do is let their religious agenda win. And they're attempting to make you believe that you are attempting to overstep your bounds. How dare you let your religion make you see things in a certain moral view? How dare you? They say as they attempt to get their religion pushed over the entirety of society. They're hypocrites. But then hypocrisy isn't a sin in their religion. So it doesn't matter really. That's why you need to beat them and you need to push them back. They are morally decadent. They corrupt societies. And this is the problem that we are dealing with here. She stated, this is the gender studies expert. Hossein said Carnival has always been a space where respectability is unsettled and women's bodies are reclaimed from control. Listen, when I read what gender studies experts say, it sounds like they program it into AI and ask the AI to make saying nothing sound extremely profound. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like an AI prompt where they asked it to say nothing but sound very profound while saying it. Carnival has always been a space where respectability is unsettled and women's bodies are reclaimed from control. Because, you know, respectability is a offshoot of the patriarchy. That's the male control attempting to hold down and repress women's bodies. Because the last thing men want, listen, here's the backward thinking of these thinkings. The last thing men want is women mostly naked in bikinis on the road whining. No man wants that. The patriarchy doesn't want the woman naked on the street. No. Men don't like to see naked women on the street. The naked women gyrating in front of you on the street are doing it because it's liberating to them. It's liberating to them. You says, I think we can convince people to side with the idea of sexual freedom over respectability politics. No, you cannot get everybody to be a whore. No, it will not happen. People don't like it. Most women who fall into that category are damaged. That's why they do it. Men who do that are shunned by society. So sorry, you cannot make everybody into a hoe in a orgy together. It's not going to happen. Ronnie, this is your ideology we're talking here. This is you. You are the promoter of this from last night. This kind of thinking, where respectability is a bad thing. How do you reclaim the female body? By gyrating naked on the street in front of people. Don't you know that's liberating yourself? Ronnie, don't play ignorant now. Don't you know it's liberating to have the toe of the camel pressed in front of the HD camera and spinning around at record speed? That's how you liberate yourselves, women. That's how you liberate yourselves. You look at your little daughter and tell her, daughter, run through the streets naked as men lust over you lasciviously, and you shall receive liberation. It doesn't, she stated that adult toys for women included in Tribe's packages do not promote sexual violence, coercion, sexually transmitted infections, or unplanned pregnancy. It doesn't undermine consent or create victims, Hossein said. She insisted that what it does signal is playful recognition of the importance. Alia, listen, pause. Alia, listen to this line. Listen. Just pause at whatever you're doing. Stop and listen this line. The importance of multi-ethnic women's sexual autonomy and self-knowledge, which are central to both gender justice and public health, as these are linked to greater capacity for consent, boundary setting, and safety. Not less. Here now. I don't repeat that one. I have to repeat that. Listen. It's a playful recognition of the importance of multi-ethnic women's sexual autonomy and self-knowledge, which are central to both gender justice and public health, as these are linked to greater capacity for consent, boundary setting, and safety, not less. Just let that wash over you and saturate into the depths of your intellect. That level of intelligence. That level of intelligence. Doctor, doctor in the gender studies, the head of the gender studies department, I find lots of university stuff supposed to just disappear. Disappear. Basically, what she is saying is a sex toy is going to make you as a woman understand your own sexuality better, and in so doing allow you to know how to consent better and know how to set your own boundaries. So in other words, the sex toy makes you safer. Yeah, nah. Boy, yeah, but I wouldn't lie to you. Honestly, I feel I could be a gender studies expert. I feel I could be a gender studies expert. Alexa says, of course, stay away from men. If only that's what happens. In a way, Ronnie says, but Ronnie, not in a way. A toy doesn't remove the desire of a man. What it might in fact do, very likely, is increase your libido, which actually increases the possibility of you seeking out a partner to satisfy what the toy does not. But I mean, if you believe that selfing yourself is going to make you safer, okay, sure. Ronnie, don't actually, because don't use yourself as an example for anything here. It's not going to end well. Don't actually here. Just stop with the actually. If you could have, you should have backspaced the actually. Don't actually it. Because you don't want to actually it. I know you don't want to actually it. But Alexa, that's not true. The woman's excuse to stay away from men to be safe, but it's not true. It's not true. It's a thorny topic to get the details in on, but it's not true. It's not like this is going to replace men. It has not. It really has not. It's like assuming that a man who watches a lot of porn is going to satisfy his yearning for women. Ronnie, that doesn't negate what I said. It just means that you're hurting yourself. Yes, Eli, I am. You're just hurting yourself. The same thing with men who use a lot of porn, a lot of adult images. They also damage themselves, and it becomes harder to be satisfied by a real life partner. It does. That's what happens. You damage your natural functioning. But that doesn't make you yearn for it less. It's like if you're doing drugs and you're doing it daily and you're increasing your resistance to the drugs. Yes, it doesn't have the same effect on you, but that doesn't mean you want it any less. In fact, you want it more because it's not scratching the itch that you want to scratch. So you feel you just need more and more and more and more to scratch that itch. So, leaving that right there. Anyway, the nurses want the money right now. TTRNA gives Finance Minister Friday deadline on 10% RHA wage increase. TTRNA President Edie Stewart, Edie is president of the nurses for a long time. Stop it, Ronnie, stop it. Says Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku must state by Friday when the 10% wage increase will be applied to RHA workers, or unions will escalate action. Stewart says workers are owed increases under two streams: outstanding negotiations for RMU represented staff and the 10% public service increase for non-RMU RMU employees that has not been applied across RHAs. Tanku said he expects payments within the first quarter of 2026 and said he has no objection to industrial action once it is based on accurate information. They are literally trying to damage society. Which NGO sponsoring tribe? Isn't that a question, Abdullah? Isn't that a question? I wouldn't doubt it, you know. I wouldn't doubt it that you look under the cover of tribe and you see the Human Rights Commission, for those who know what HRC is, and some one of those type of groups that pushing this kind of stuff. Because, yeah. Anyway, it's possible that the start of the year here may have some industrial action coming from the nurses. That's not going to be good if it happens. You know, it's always strange to me because they are supposed to be essential workers, so technically they're not supposed to be able to do that. They're not supposed to be able to do industrial action, but nonetheless, they're threatening it. They're threatening that if they don't get their money, we will see. No wonder the government is attempting to get it from all areas. People are asking. Here's a nice, I think this will be my last story before we dive out. At least my last local story. There are some regional topics we could touch before in closing. But, y'all, you know, occasionally I like to do some stories and talk about some stories where there are life lessons to learn. What I want to do, I just want to read this whole article. I want to read this whole article. And without a comment during the article. And you'll listen for the last sentence of the article doesn't really make sense until the last sentence. But it's a short article. Short article. Police are investigating a report of false imprisonment and assault involving a 22-year-old woman in Kokorit. According to police, the victim reported that around 8 p.m. on December 11th, she visited her boyfriend's apartment. However, when she was ready to leave around 11 p.m., he allegedly prevented her from doing so by locking all doors and windows. The woman told police that since that date, she made repeated attempts to leave the apartment, but was unable to do so because she did not have any keys, and the man physically prevented her from leaving. She further alleged that while being held against her will, she was assaulted by the man. Police identified the suspect as a 27-year-old man. Last line of the article. He is described as red in complexion, medium built, with box plaited hair, gold teeth, and tattoos on his face and body. The headline is woman locked into house for a month as assaulted by her boyfriend. You all heard the description? He is described as red in complexion, medium built, with box plaited hair, gold teeth, and tattoos on his face and body. Separate to this. End. Article end. New topic. You all remember when Dr. Rowley, the former Prime Minister, spoke about choosing wisely? One has nothing to do with the other. But Abdullah, I don't understand what you're telling me here. I just, you know, I remember articles that we go through from times gone. And it just dawned on me. A poignant reminder, you know. Wisdom from an old head of state. Women, you have to choose wisely. And I mean, as a woman, there are obvious signs, eh? There are obvious signs. I mean, Rani, behave yourself. But I think before you reach to the rules, you can reach to the men without visible face tattoos. If a man has a face tattoo, my first question is, bro, where are you working? Like, I'm not saying no one should hire you, and that's not what I'm saying. I just want to know who has hired you. If you have a face tattoo, I'm supposing you must be an entrepreneur or an entertainer or something of the like. Anyway, that's the last article I have for the evening, folks. Red man, box flat, gold teeth, tattoos on his face and body. Who could have seen that coming? Who could have seen that coming? An entrepreneur of joint criminal action. That's what you're saying, Mrs. Padilla? An entrepreneur of joint criminal action. That's what he may be. I don't know. I mean, people could be in all kind of different arenas of life. Travis Barker, the drummer for Blink 181, is it? I believe he had face tattoos also, so you know, could be an entertainer also. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, folks, that's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. This has been the Mindful Live Show. Nathan, I ain't even playing that. I looking to bong some in his direction. Not my girls. By Abdullah. I don't know who parents is who parents. But I just saying, no red man with box plats and gold teeth and tattoo on face kidnapping my daughter for a month. I don't know how that happened. It just, Abdullah, as fathers with daughters, we know never happened. See. Never happened. A month? We're home girl parents. Nobody miss homie sister for a month. Nobody come by the boyfriend and ask what going on for a month. Give me a chance now, man. Give me a chance. Hey, all you hold it down, stay good, stay well, stay inside, outside, they sketchy, stay away from the red men with box plats and gold teeth and tattoo on the face and body. They's kidnap you. They's kidnap you and leave you in apartments for a month apparently. Watch it out there. It's scary. If you're looking for extra tutoring, we offer that for most subjects. We're tutoring math, English, and the rudiments from early childhood all the way up to Cape. Mindful Education. Hit us up if you're interested. Best way to support the channel if you're into that kind of support. Thank God I'm a dark man with box plats. Correct, Theon? You had to be red. But I don't feel you had the face tattoos, Theon. I feel you're lacking the face tattoos. That's an essential part. That's profiling, anytime. Listen, I don't care. I am a profiler. I am not ashamed of it. I am willing to admit I am a profiler. Listen, if I see you dressed and looking a certain way, I judge you. If you are wearing the bandit uniform, I avoid you. There's no way you are in a black Air Force, a 3/4 and a wife beater, and I'm just normally going to pass close to you on a less than populated street. No, like, sir, that side of the road is all yours. And the black Air Force is the new one. The one of times gone before. You see a Clarks with no lace? Bro. Got true. I look into cross the road and I no disrespect, I cross the road and I get it. Yeah, boy. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. And I even watch you for too long because you know sometimes you keep the eye contact too long and like, yeah, tall man, come now, boy. Come now, come check the, come here this now. So yeah. And pressing the headphone in your ears, though it's not playing anything. Gone. I am a profiler. No shame in that. Y'all could, you know, be all magnanimous. You judge no one. Everybody is everybody. You don't worry about a thing. You all do that on your own. For me, I profile. Me, personally, I profile. Sorry about it. It is what it is. Don't come up to me in no Clarks without a lace. Put the lace in the Clarks. Hey, I don't even come out my car just so. Exactly. For what? For what? Like, sir, why would... Miss me. I think some people bandit raid are just too weak. I have never been robbed overtly. Like maybe people, you know, cheat and rob you like that. But in terms of held up and robbed, I've never been robbed. Thank God. And I intend to keep it that way as much as is in my power. And I pretty much believe part of the reason I haven't been robbed is my bandit radar works well. I out. There's no way I'm traveling in a car. I now sit down in the car. And three other men jump in the car. Like, sir, drive, where they drive? I go and buy a biscuit. I'm buying a biscuit right back. You see that man there? I go and buy a biscuit. Just now. Drive, don't take off your tire. I'll go buy a biscuit. And I'll go buy one big 4, open slowly, take out one, twist and open, scrape the cream, through one half at a time, through the next half at a time. That car will go. No way 3 of you now decide to jump in the car with me and I go in with you. No. I have a biscuit to eat. I will take the next car. Now drive, it's alright. Yeah, he could go ahead. I'll go ahead. Not me. My bandit reader, functional. And I understand our country a little sketchy at times. So, you know, we wise. That is why back in the rail traveling days, I pulled some rail travels back in the days. But I liked that all taxi stands always have a little shop right next to it. Somebody selling something right next to it. So you always have an excuse to jump out. Because there's no way you putting me in the middle. And I don't want it to look like more than 2 people in this ride know each other. All of you can know each other and I don't know none of you. Not my ride. This seems like a friendship journey. You all get another one of your friends and you all have an enjoyable time without me. You got to be wise, man. We got to be wise. All right, people. Hold it down. Make sure your bandit radar working. Put the batteries in your bandit radar. Make sure it turned on. If you see people with the hustler purse, flag. Black Air Force, flag. Clarks without lace, flag. Wife beaters, flag. You know, got to know. As a man who like outside and don't like company, I've avoided all bad situations. Wisdom, people. All right, I'm out, people. If you want to support Big Flaggy White or Black, if you would like to support the channel, here stick up in that A flag A. You see that? Who hears that? That is who? Is Young Dolph? Is Young Dolph popularized that one? You know the one plait here, one plait here, one plait here, one plait here. Like, there are some hairstyles that are YN hairstyles. We know this. Like, sir, I am of African heritage. I have no hate for our natural texture of hair. I'm talking about in the YN era. Coolio, but no, Coolio didn't have that. I think he had shorter plaits. One of the Wayan brothers in, was it Don't Be a Menace to South Central while you're drinking juice in the Bronx or in the hood or something like that? One of those old 90s gangster jokey movies. He had a hairstyle like that too. But in the modern YN iteration, I believe it was, no, not Young Dolph. Who is the one that was with one of the Kardashians? Anyway, someone of them. That plait up in the air, YN, like, sir, peace be upon you. Anyway, hit me up for merch if you'd like to support. We have t-shirts, we have hats. Until next time, people, peace. I'm out. See you all tomorrow. Bye.